Simon Told Helen wins a half length. Zach Manelli second.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip.
Peaky Blinders start cheering for Tommy Shelby wins the WA Sprint Championship final.
Featuring Peter O'Neill and Leia Ernest.
Mozza moves up to Mermaid Manelli. Fab's Gem 3 deep. Here comes Fab's Gem.
Hard stole Rico by 5 lengths to Simon Told Helen. Third Tommy Shelby.
This segment is dedicated to the discussion and promotion of greyhound racing.
Cindy's Oliver, Rockstar Patriot, Paul Stewart, back-to-back with Rockstar Patriot in the Galaxy.
Handsome Prince, a Boulder Clear, the former Tasmanian. Handsome Prince has won the $1 million chase.
A very good morning, everyone. Tuned into Greyhound Gossip, and of course, a very good morning to you, Peter O'Neill.
And good morning, Leia. Good morning, everyone. Welcome along. Yes, what a wonderful weekend it was of greyhound racing, which started off in tough circumstances, Leia, when we heard the news late last week of Callum Robson and how he'd been induced into a coma. But some great news coming through from the weekend from his mother, Carol, and also his partner, Taylor, that he woke up over the weekend and was able to say a few words as well. So it's going to be a tough ride for him going forward and a long road ahead, but he certainly is making progress, which is very good news for all.
Yes, fantastic news, and just in time as well. Young Kingsley just turned 2 months, so that is good news. We'll keep Callum in our thoughts. Pete, weekend of racing there at Mandurah and Cannington with 3 heats of the chase down at Mandurah, where we saw West on Bray, Who Told Tough, and West on Fever take out the win. And then Saturday at Cannington, 4 heats of the Keith Harding Canning Trophy.
We certainly did, and the Canning Trophy, all of the Manelli greyhounds making it through and all winning heats, 3 of them, or 2 of them trained by David Hobby, and 3 of them trained by David Hobby, and one of them, of course, by Steve Withers when he purchased Eagle Manelli. And great to see Eagle Manelli back into the winner's circle. The quickest qualifier wasn't Crumble Manelli after he met trouble, but he's still going to start the favourite, even though he's drawn box number 8 as $1.80 favourite currently with Tab Touch. Interesting market, and it'll be interesting to see how he comes across from that wide draw.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to chasing this week at both Cannington and Mandurah. Now, big weekend of chasing over East. We had the Australian Cup. Let's go back and have a listen to that replay.
Racing now, Landon Bale a bit awkward to go, and out fast Fernando Mick from the outside, and the Old Warrior's going to come across and lead from Captain Larry. Baby JC crashing into the rails, trying to get there now. They're followed by Mortified, Landon Bale, well back to Victor Damien. At the end, Indy Fido and last Lavaz Bale, but the old boy, the Evergreen Warrior, Fernando Mick, led by 7 lengths to Baby JC, and then Captain Larry, but it is all Fernando Mick. He is a mile in front in the Australian Cup, but he's going to bolt it in. Fernando Mick won it by 4, beating Baby JC. Victor Damien flashed.
What a win that was, and a man who will still be on cloud 9 is joining us as our first guest this morning, and I speak about David Geall. Dave, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a great morning as well. We're still on cloud 9, yep.
David, good morning to you. James Vandermark called him the old boy. Lucky you and I are still young. What a win it was, and I'm sure that you celebrated it with the family really well.
Yeah, hi Pete. Yeah, we did. We certainly did, and we were still celebrating yesterday, and we've just been on cloud 9. It was just a really special win, that one. On top of, we've been fortunate to have won a few of the big ones, but this one, is a nice little story with the owner, a family member, and it was just a magical night to win an Australian Cup, one of the biggest on the program, isn't it?
It's massive, Dave, and I saw a photo up on social media with you and Paul Connell as well as Fernando Mick. A great picture there. You were all smiles, of course. Can you tell us a bit about this story that you were just talking about?
Yeah, Paul's a part owner with his family, and he had a family member who Fernando Mick was named after, and he just loved the dogs like they do, the family, and everything revolves around their lives like ours, in racing. And he was always in with the dogs, and he had cancer, and he passed away before he saw Fernando Mick. He was in syndicates, and he passed away before he raced, even when he was a pup. He sort of never got to see him race at all. And his wife was there on Saturday night, Jill, and it was quite emotional, because he would have loved to have seen the dog race, let alone win an Australian Cup. It's just unbelievable. So that just added a nice touch to it as well. But being a Hobart 1000 winner as well, and now winning the Australian Cup, it's sort of they can't imagine ever that would have happened, but it has. So it's a great feeling.
Only good dogs can do that, Dave. The Hobart 1000 and also the Australian Cup. Our own Tommy Shelby did it only a few years ago. Tell us about Fernando Mick. I think he had his 101st start there the other night, and he's won close to $850,000 in stake money. But early on in his career, he took a little while to break through, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. We got him after 2 starts, Pete. And then Paul, he works full time, and he decided that in conjunction with his brother-in-law Reno that they wanted me to give him a go. They said he had ability, and he was sort of he showed ability, glimpses of it in and out, and I think won 2 of his first 10 or something. But he did show on times that on occasions he could run. And then he started to get a bit quicker and, launching pad early on. And then, I don't know, it was probably about 8 months ago, all of a sudden he just started to jump nearly all the time, which he never did. He wasn't a good beginner. In fact, he was a very consistent, slow beginner. Very consistent. We tried box work. We tried bull ring work to get him jumping out of the boxes, and it didn't work. So we just gave up and continued the racing, putting up with him missing the start by a length. And then
Dave,
one day he decided to jump at Horsham. I think it wasn't. He decided to jump fast, and from then on he's jumped nearly all the time.
He's certainly racing great at the moment, and there was talk after the Australian Cup that he might be retired to stud, being a son of Fernando Bale. But there's a few on the market at the moment, and I think you had different ideas. Have you had the opportunity to take the connections out, and is there any chance that we might see the Australian Cup winner across here in Perth?
Yes, Paul, the owner, had a good think about it as well, because the dog's been so good to us that he was happy to pull the pin. So I was keen to keep him going because, as you say, the market's saturated with Fernando Bale's sons at stud. There's so many of them. It is so competitive, and it'll be very hard for a Fernando Bale's son to kick off. With superstars, like Tommy Shelby, and we've got a few like Co Blends and Myra Deemer, just ourselves, and Ferdinand Boy. So then Paul thought about it, we spoke about it, and now he's just left it up to me now, Pete. Sort of, he's happy to just do what I want to do, and I just think the dog loves to race. He's pretty sweet out of the boxes, very clean, and gets out nice, and can avoid trouble on most, a little bit of interference. So now we're just going to push ahead now, and all goes well. In the next couple of weeks, he'll come over for the Perth Cup heats, and we'll just go from there.
That's fantastic news. Of course, you and your wife and even your sister-in-law have been over here, the Womans, many times before to contest. It was only a few years ago that you were across here with Uphill Jill, the superstar. So it would be great to have you back, and the hospitality here in Perth will certainly look after you. Just before we let you go, has there been any communication with you and also the connections of Fernando Mick in regards to the Sandgroper, which is coming up on the 14th of April?
Yes, we have. It's been great. We've SEN, Craig Hutchins from SEN has indicated and sounded us out because he's got a slot in the Sandgroper, and it's fantastic. He's sort of virtually penciled us in if we want to go ahead with it. So that's a huge thrill to be sounded out for the Sandgroper.
That would be good.
And be part of it. So we've been lucky enough to be part of the Phoenix, and now, we have been sounded out, Pete. So as long as he's going well at the time, as he has to be going well though.
Yep.
Because of his age, but he's showing no signs at this stage. In fact, he seems to be getting a little quicker. So, that'll be the aim as well.
Good on you. Great to have you on the program this morning, Dave. Congratulations on the Australian Cup Australian Cup win. The heats of the Perth Cup coming up on March 11. So it's only a couple of weeks away, and the nominations close 8:30 Western Standard Time next Tuesday morning. We're looking forward to having you across to Perth for the Rich Sky Racing Perth Cup Carnival.
All right. Good on you. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Good on you. David Geall there, Leia, and it will be great to have the Australian Cup winner Fernando Mick across in Perth. Well, she's fast, was scratched there on Saturday night, but all reports she'll still be heading across to Perth for the Perth Cup next week.
Yes, and we're very excited for the Sandgroper as well. Pete, a lot of dogs will be coming over for that, and a man who will have interest in the Sandgroper is our local trainer, Dave Robartson, and he joins us on Greyhound Gossip this morning. A very good morning to you, Dave.
Morning, Leila. Morning, Pete.
Dave, how are you feeling? Because it was only last week we spoke about Callum Robson, and he wasn't in the best of ways, and you had to enter hospital for an operation yourself. How are you travelling at the moment?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, I've got onto it pretty quick, fortunately, and they got stuck into him, put a couple of stents in, and away we go again.
All right, fighting fit. How's Throttle going, and how's he come back from his runs over there in Queensland?
Yeah, he come back a bit second-hand, really, because it's a really hard 3 weeks. Each run he had was really hard, and but no, he's coming good now. He's just took a couple of weeks to sort of pick himself up. Well, when I say a couple of weeks, we gave him a week of doing nothing virtually, so he's on his way back now.
Okay, will we see him before the heats, or will you and Christine put him straight into the heats on the 11th of March?
We'll probably put him and the other dog,
Hinto
in the heats, and we'll go straight in with him. We had a bit of a hiccup because I went to hospital, and they sort of not missed a week's work, but they didn't get trial that week, so we were going to trial them with that week up our sleeve, but now we won't. We'll just put them straight in. But they're working the place down here, so.
Okay. Was there any injury concerns with him when he returned from Queensland? You're talking about that tough 3-week period?
Yeah, no, he pulled off a bit rough. I said that last run he had, like turn for home, he probably should have ran last for where he was, but he gave everything to run second. So probably just a bit of wear and tear more than anything else.
And what about the Sandgroper? Everyone's talking about it. Last week, Tab Touch announced that She's a Pearl will be racing for the Tab Touch slot in the Sandgroper. You and Christine, obviously, and the family own your own slot with the Guest Syndicate. He obviously is your runner at this stage, and you must be excited going into the Perth Cup Carnival and then being able to freshen him up for that series. Yeah,
certainly are. He's a dog on his diet. You know, he'll match most of them. So what we need is for him to be fresh enough to come out and pick himself up and get going. So, yeah, we've got... If the dog couldn't run, you wouldn't be excited, but we know that on his diet he can run.
Has there been any thoughts from you, and this is just something out of left field, but have any of the other slot holders approached you in regards to Throttle? And just for an example, if they gave you such a good deal, then you could perhaps use your own slot for another dog like Hinto.
Yeah, well, that's always a thought, I would imagine. But no, we haven't discussed at this stage. As I said, a fair bit's happened the last 3 weeks, so we've just been tootling along, just heading towards the 2 feature races coming up. And, like everything else, you're always open to discussion.
most importantly, mate, we've got you back fighting fit, which is great news for you and your family and all of your friends. So that's great news, and also good to hear that Throttle going straight into the heats of the Perth Cup. Good luck with the series.
Thanks very much, mate.
Good on you. Dave Robartson there, Leia, joining us, and it has been a tough couple of weeks for the Robartsons. Dave was put in hospital to have those the stents placed in, and it would have been a little bit of a worry for the family, but he's back up and fighting fit, which is great to see. And him and Christine and also Jody, they'll be excited going forward. And I even noticed that Jody put up a post over the weekend that their owners only Greyhound Chase the Dream Greyhound is starting to trial as well.
Yes, it's good news. You know, we're always very excited about that new, initiative we've got going on with Chase the Dream. So it is exciting to see, even after a couple of years, that all these new owners get to see their dog on the track. Now, Pete, we are joined by another special guest on the show, a guest we have on nearly every week. He's become a regular, and we're about to have Jason Lincoln join us here on Greyhound Gossip.
Now on Greyhound Gossip, we welcome the Greyhound guru, Jason Lincoln, from Sky Racing.
She's a Pearl in full flight at the home turn. She led it by 6 on Coast Model. Richard Honor getting up on the inside. But this is greatness from a champion. She's a Pearl wins the $10 million chase.
And we mentioned Dave Geall would be on Cloud 9 after the weekend. Another man that will be on Cloud 9 is Jason Lincoln. Jace, congratulations in regards to the news with She's a Pearl.
Yeah, morning, guys. Look, thanks. So it's one of those awards that, it's obviously subjective, but it's more recognition for the dog and the people that prepare the dog, Jody and Andy, and obviously Millsy. It's one of those ones. I guess it's good for the owners to go along, collect the trophy, and have a day out. But it's just recognition really for, as I said, a wonderful training effort by those guys to get her through a wonderfully successful year where she was only beaten 4 times here in New South Wales from 20 starts. So, well done to the team and well done to Pearl.
And Jason, good morning to you. I hope you're well, mate. Congratulations with She's a Pearl being crowned the New South Wales Greyhound of the Year, as Leia just mentioned, and also the big news last week, and thank you to you and the ownership group from the Punters HQ, that She's a Pearl will be running for Tab Touch in the Sandgroper coming up in April. That is exciting news for WA Greyhound Racing. And I mentioned last week, I'm not sure if you heard, that I believe that she is the best greyhound to come out of New South Wales since we had the Great Rapid Journey back in the late 1990s when he came across. He was the highest stake earning greyhound of that era, and he defeated Reggie Might in the National Sprint and also the Perth Cup Carnival. That may well be right, Pete, I guess, in terms of her CV. In any case, we don't, unfortunately, or you don't probably see the numbers that you used to, sort of, especially during the 90s when the dogs, I guess the calendar was there for them to be able to do it a lot easier, but the dogs used to travel around a lot more, and I'll probably accept that. But great promotion by Tab Touch. I mean, what they have ensured is that arguably the 2 best dogs in the country, well, certainly the only 2 greyhounds that have won over $1.5 million in the history of greyhound racing, will be there in Perth. So, if you're going to have an inaugural running of something, you've got to get the big names. It'd be like having an invitation 100-metre race, Pedro, and not inviting Usain Bolt, probably. Don't know whether that correlation's exactly correct, but, you want to have the big names to put your race up in lights. And, absolutely, Ra would be very happy with the names that have been spoken about.
Jace, was she approached by any other slot holder? Are you allowed to share that information?
Yeah, sure. Yes, there were 2 other slot holders. It was... I won't tell you who they were for those guys' benefit. They can come out later if they want to and say that. But, there were 2 other slot holders. One of them actually touched base with us before. I'd spoke to Pete about the possibility of Rawa's or Tab Touch's slot being open for her. And it came together pretty quickly. I mean, probably after the event, it's, again, a story we can tell, Pete, but... it's amazing sometimes how quickly these things come together. Sometimes the negotiations can be really well drawn out. I mean, we probably had that a little bit with Tab the first year, but we were able to do an agreement or come to an agreement within basically 24 hours. And like I said, I think it'll serve the race really, really well to have her there. Hopefully, she's fast. A couple of other interstate dogs taking on your very good West Australian dogs at the moment, shaping up nicely.
And I've never called Andy Lord or Jodie Lord in Perth since I've been a race caller. So my point to that is, Jason, that we very rarely, we get a lot of Victorians and Queensland chasers across, South Australian chasers, but maybe because of the Golden Easter egg, we very rarely get New South Wales trainers coming across to Perth, and I think it's great to have one of the country's leading trainers and obviously one of the country's leading greyhounds as well. At Punters HQ as well, and Joe did talk to Leia and I probably 5-6 weeks ago, and he did mention that there was some interest, even though she's going towards the Golden Easter egg, there was some interest, and he was open to discussing with slot holders on Pearl running. And well done to the Punters HQ, who won their 999th recorded their 999th win over the weekend, and they almost got their 1,000th this morning over in New Zealand when Time Taken ran second. But the 1,000 will be coming in the next day or so, I'd say.
Yeah, it should come this week. I actually did talk to Joe this morning, and he did have a little bit of a chuckle at the fact that this dog might become the 1,000th. They had a good weekend. Punters Bandit won the big race up there at Dubbo, so it'll be full steam ahead for her in terms of that country challenge. I think the heats actually kick off today at Nowra for that Pedro, so I think we've got a week's worth of those 600-metre heats here in New South Wales.
Looking forward to that. Just before we get to the Australian Cup, which we want to talk to you about, and we had David Geall on before, and he has mentioned that Fernando Mick will be coming across to Perth for the Perth Cup, and there has been some slot holders discussing with them. Couch Surfer, did you catch his run the other night when he got into all sorts of trouble? First up over the 715 metres, and bookmakers have quickly jumped on his first up debut over the 715, slashing his price into $4 outright favourite for the Galaxy.
Yeah, I did actually. They were those races of interest at Cannington on Saturday night or after the last of the Meadows. So I was upstairs sort of with a couple of the slot holders, Jeff Britton and Jared Sharp, who have got a slot. And I sort of, before the negotiations with Pearl were done, I was sort of helping those guys a little bit, formulate a bit of a list and just talking through the various chances. So again, on Saturday night, it was a really good opportunity for us to face-to-face sit down and have a chat. So it was not ironic, but it was quite timely that dogs like Couch Surfer, Crumble Manelli, and of course Electrified went around all on the same night. So I'd expect, without giving too much away, I'd expect those last remaining slot holders that haven't at least spoken to connections and got possibly some sort of agreement in mind, I'd expect that those talks will be absolutely hastened this week because time is starting to tick away, and you'd want to be at least having the discussions with the people who've got the dogs you like.
I spoke with Steve Shinners quite a bit over the last week because of what happened with Callum Robson and how, I'm not sure if you heard that he was induced into a coma.
Yeah, I did.
He did wake up over the weekend, which is fantastic news. And he'd mentioned how well Amplified had trialled, and she's currently $15 in the market for the Perth Cup, and there has been some slot holders that have had discussions with him about her.
Yeah.
Surely Electrified, who's now $7 in the Perth Cup market, and that brilliant run that we've seen up in Queensland and also over in Melbourne, that run the other night was very, very good.
Well, it was better than very, very good. He'd have won the Australian Cup, I think, by 3.5 lengths. He'd have been in that and run that performance, Pete. So that gives you, a good measure of the performance. A lot of people spoke about the Consolation being stronger than the Cup. So, outstanding effort. No surprise to those of us who have been blowing his trumpet for a number of weeks now. You can join the dots from what I've just said 2 minutes ago to what I'm about to say. I'd expect him to be snapped up pretty quick.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had a slot, and you've obviously been in discussions with slot holders, you've got a choice of these three greyhounds. Which one do you choose? Electrified, Amplified, Crumble, Manelli?
It would be Electrified ahead of Crumble and then Amplified for me personally, but Electrified absolutely number one.
All right, it's going to be exciting over the next few weeks now. I'm sure Leia's got plenty of questions for you, but first of all, the Australian Cup. We spoke with David Geall. Fernando Mick, start number 101, the Hobart 1000 winner, the Australian Cup, and now he'll try and come across to Perth and become the first to win all three.
Yeah, well, he's another dog that obviously should have hoisted his name into Sandgroper conversations as well, Pete. The thing I want to touch on here, and unfortunately I didn't get to hear your chat with Dave Geall. I'll go back and have a listen to it, but I think David Geall should quite rightly end up in the Hall of Fame once he hangs up the collar and lead. I think he made a point there the other night saying that he's now knocked off what we would acclaim as the four biggest races over here on the eastern seaboard anyway, Pete, the Top Gun, the Egg, the two Cups in Melbourne. And it's not really until you do a bit of a deep dive and understand that these guys breed their own. He doesn't have big money owners going off and buying, pups that have been flying around or flying break-in pups. These guys are breeding their own. To have the success that they have, not only the success, but this dog you just touched on, he's 4 years of age. He's won two Group 1s in the last 6 months. Like, that speaks to the people that look after the dog. It's 100% all on them.
Yep.
You only get a dog achieving these sort of things, this sort of longevity in their career, if those dogs have been absolutely A1, looked after all their career. And look, he's absolutely one of the most astute trainers in the modern era, David Geall.
And a really good bloke as well. And his wife obviously got a greyhound background as well. They've had a lot of success, and sister Tina has been across here and had success with the Perth Cup Carnival. The super stayers, Ariane Bale, and a big night for Daniel Gibbons with Kelsey Bale taking out that consolation you were talking about before. Yeah, absolutely. So that was his first Group 1 win there for Dan with Ariane Bale, so absolutely that would be a highlight for him. She's sort of promised to do that since she burst onto the scene best part of 12 months ago, Pete. She's a little bit enigmatic. She's not the most reliable of beginners. And like a lot of stayers, there's some nights where she just can't be bothered. But of late, she's been in really good form, again, which speaks to the space that Dan's got her in at the moment. And look, we sort of say it every time, don't we, Pete? But if you have a look at the dogs that have won the feature staying races the past 12 to 18 months, they are just taking it in turns. So we don't have a standout stayer at the moment, but there's a number of good ones, and she's one of those.
Well, Jace, funnily enough, you mentioned that, and you also say Electrified would be your top tip for the Perth Cup. Having a look at the market, Kelsey Bale's currently $15 with Tab Touch in the Perth Cup, and then Electrified at $7.
Yeah, I don't know whether you've spoken to Dan. I would be surprised if Kelsey Bale went over for the Perth Cup. I would have thought that there was a number of features that should be targeting over here on the eastern seaboard. Now, I stand corrected if that's not the case. I don't know any better or know any different, but yeah, I'd be surprised if she went over for the Perth Cup, Kelsey.
Speaking of greyhounds and maybe humans coming over for the Perth Cup, we have wanted you over for the past couple of years, Jace, for the Perth Cup, and we haven't. We've been disappointed. Will you be coming over this year or even potentially for the Sandgroper?
You can lock me in for the Sandgroper. I'll be there 100%. But for the Perth Cup, I really don't know. I guess I'll get my roster in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, no idea there, Leia, but I wouldn't miss the Sandgroper for the world.
Fantastic. Well, we're very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'd talk to management. It's a Sky Racing Perth Cup and Galaxy.
Well, you could talk to manager. You've probably got more pull.
Pete's got the power. I don't have any.
I'll give Ross a call.
You chat to him.
Well, Jace, either way, we are looking forward to having you over here back in the West. And thank you for joining us as always. We'll probably be chatting to you again in the next couple of weeks.
No worries, guys. Stay good.
Fantastic. Jason Lincoln there joining us. Always a good time having a chat to Jace, isn't it, Pete?
Yeah, it is. And as we mentioned, good luck to the Punters HQ. They're in search of their 1,000th win, and they should be getting it early this week, Leia. And we haven't spoken because of the news breaking after last Monday's show, the fact that Tab Touch getting the $1.6 million She's a Pearl as our slot runner in the Sandgroper. It's exciting, isn't it? We spoke with the connections of Wow, She's Fast, Kel Greeno a couple of weeks ago, and we're both very excited the fact that she'll be coming across, the fact that we'll have She's a Pearl, and for those two to be able to clash on WA soil. We've seen them dominate in their own states of Victoria and New South Wales, to be able to come on to neutral soil and race, and there's going to be some very, very good dogs around them that are going to make it a very, very competitive race.
Yes, well, it's interesting, Pete. We will have both you know, she's a pearl over as well. She's faster than the top two richest greyhounds, and, you know, that race as well is the richest greyhound race here in WA, so it'll really increase their prize money if either of those two greyhounds win.
It certainly will, and as you heard, obviously the connections or a slot holder is very, very interested in Electrified, who's currently a $13 chance. I read over the weekend that Crumble Manelli might be going to the Golden Easter egg, so maybe David Hobby hasn't had any contact or has decided not to go towards the Sandgroper. It's hard when we don't actually have a lot of contact with David to find out what is happening. It'll come out in due course, but there's only a couple of slots left. Throttle for the Robartsons. Obviously, the Britain Kennel have a slot available, and I think we'll hear over the next few days in regards to Ladbrokes, and obviously Sportsbet has Wow, She's Fast. So it's exciting times for WA Greyhound Racing, and over the next few days and possibly week, we will have all of those slots filled, and then we can start really cramming down on the Perth Cup, which is only 2 weeks away.